Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to GB3 Reviews. That's where me, the real Geno, and the HeiseNerd are gonna spoil the crap out of Avengers Infinity War for you. Bill, how you doing
That's
tonight?
I'm great. You ready to spoil the living snot out of this thing?
Hey, you know what? Everyone else is doing it, and I was telling you before we started recording, I have seen so many pirated clips from this movie on YouTube, it's not even funny, and people are begging for them to be taken down. I was looking in the comments sections, and they were saying, will you stop this? Because I thought they'd be fakes or something, and they weren't. They
I'm just
were.
surprised there's still like a lot of people that haven't seen it. I mean, that thing killed this weekend.
Oh yeah, it's already broken all the records. It's probably going to break. I so hope that it breaks Avatar's worldwide and U.S.
Oh
domestic.
man.
It's going to break the U.S. domestic. It probably already has. I'm not sure where it's at as of today, but I mean, it's only been out since Thursday. And the fact that unlike Avatar, it's actually really good. So
Yeah. Well, I'm ready for my second go already, man. I know you got yours.
Yeah, I had to get out of the house on the weekend. I was just like, yeah, why not? I'll go see it again. And the only difference that I noticed between the two viewings is that it felt a little shorter the second time. That was
Okay.
about it. Everything else that really stuck with me. The things that bothered me didn't bother me as much, or about the same. And then the things that I loved, I either loved the same or I loved even more because I got to really soak it in. So yeah, you definitely should get a second viewing of it, or a third or a fourth, depending on how many times you really want to see it. But because I'd go see this one a few more times, I probably won't have time to. But yeah, we're going to be discussing all that stuff. When we decided before we started recording, we're going to get what we didn't like about the movie out of the way, because I think that list is a little shorter. So why don't you go
Right.
ahead and start with what didn't work for you in this movie?
And there's not a lot of stuff that I wouldn't say didn't work for me. I think one of my biggest things is, as big as this movie was and as many characters there were in it, there were a couple that didn't get as much time as I feel like they could have, but it's still not enough to really notice it. One of the things is that unless you've watched the other films, which this is assuming that you have, because I mean, if you're watching this, surely you've seen the others. There's not a lot in the way of exposition in this film. There pretty much is, here you are, you're right in the action. So, particularly, for instance, if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, I mean, you're going to be kind of lost right there at the beginning, because obviously you didn't know, why are the Asgardians on this ship, all of a sudden, and why, there's a whole lot of, unanswered questions if you haven't seen the other films, which it's okay, because I mean, this is a big franchise and that's going to happen. I don't know, what do you think of that?
Well, yeah, you're definitely right there, because if you don't know what's going on, I had somebody at work ask me, they said, should I go see this? I said, how many of the other movies have you seen? They said, I think all they said was, I saw Black Panther. It's like, well, you're kind of going to need to be, know a bit more, at least study up on it. I didn't watch all the other movies again before seeing this, but then again, I've probably seen them enough that what's happening in the movie. Every movie franchise in this brings their baggage into this movie. You find out when Thanos at the first has one stone, you find out where he got it. Well, you knew that's where the Guardians left it.
Right.
In the first movie, Peter and Tony Stark have their kind of father-son-ish type relationship going on in this movie. There's just all the little things that everyone brings into this movie that if you don't know what that stuff is coming in, you're going to be lost. That being said, this is the movie that Disney and Marvel have been promising for 10 years now, that
Right.
if you're not a fan going into this, you really need to see everything else, because
Right.
this is for those fans that have watched every movie, have followed the story since Iron Man 1 and when Nick Fury walked in after the credits, and just know that this is going to be something special for those that have stuck with it, which of course is a lot of people. And yeah, so you're right. You've got to know what's going on. That being said, if you do, this movie definitely would not have worked if they were trying to just cram all these characters in and everything else, if you didn't already know who they were.
Right.
I mean, they really didn't introduce any new characters except for Thanos's, his group. That was about it.
Right. There's not even really introduction there. They're just kind of his lackeys, and you kind of just get that,
Yeah, you understand kind of what they are. You've got the powerhouse, and you've got the hunter, and you've got the assassin, and you've got the voice, or the new voice, since he already snapped one of the voices' necks, or one of them got their voice neck snapped in one of the movies. I can't remember which movie it was now.
It was Guardians 1. I think Ronan killed him.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, Ronan killed him. I couldn't remember who killed him, but you've got the new guy going, behold, it's Thanos is coming, you should be blessed and all, and you get who these characters are.
We're talking about Squidward, right?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the many Iron Man jokes that did work. So yeah, other than those guys, and then really getting to know Thanos, everybody else, it's based on people whether it be side characters or main characters. So there really wasn't there was some character development. Really was, but it was stuff that they've already been building on. It wasn't a lot of new things.
I feel like most of the character development went to Thanos than anybody, which makes perfect sense.
And we'll talk about that in a bit, because that's something I'm very excited about. When it comes to negatives to me, and this is kind of minor, sometimes the humor was a bit misplaced. There was a few times I thought it was starting to get a little too funny, and then it would stop. And it didn't get Thor Ragnarok funny, which I was happy to see. I enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, but there was times it's like, stop telling jokes, because a planet or Ragnarok happens, right, and Asgard's gone, and they crack a joke, and it's like, this should have been a quiet, serious moment, and this one, when the characters are interacting, the jokes are starting to happen, but when the crap hits the fan, the crap is hitting the fan, and you may get the occasional quip from somebody, but it wasn't the long-running jokes when the serious stuff was happening, so that was good, and they kept that to a minimum. And I also would say it wasn't, but it was almost too much of a movie. As you were saying, there was a lot of characters, so they all didn't get a lot of time. That being said, they all kind of got their moments, which was good. Usually it's when they appeared on screen, and then they usually had a fight or two that they got to have their moments. And I do think that the movie was smart making this. I think Disney was smart making this 2 parts, which normally we complain about that stuff if you're splitting up they split up the Harry Potter and Hunger Games and all that stuff. Well, this needs 2 movies, because if you tried to cram all this into one, it would not work one bit. Just ask Batman v Superman, or just ask Justice League, trying to cram too much into a movie. They did it right. So yeah, my negatives are very minor. Really, that's all the negatives I have for this movie. The rest of it, it's pretty much positives, and I have a really long list here of positives for that.
Well, I would say the jokes, I wouldn't say not very many of them fell flat in this one. Like you said about Thor, I think the problem with Thor Ragnarok and my beef with that was the fact that it was trying too hard to be like Guardians when it's Thor. Thor is not, both of the previous films, granted, Thor the Dark World suck. Well, I won't say it sucked, but in the scheme of Marvel films, it's on the low end. It's just, he's not supposed to be a funny character, really. I mean, the funny things about Thor, like his, it really should surround more of his ineptness and not knowing, because of where he was from and things like that. That's kind of where you got it in the first couple films. I mean, I guess the thing that worked with this one is that most of the funny came from the Guardians in this film, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So that worked,
So yeah, so we're out of the negatives here. Let's talk about the positives. I'm going to ask you this, and we'll both drop what we think here. What is the one big positive for you out of this movie? I know we have lots of positives to talk about, and we have lots to talk about, but if anything stuck out in this movie to you, what would it have been?
If I'm gonna say like we're talking specific moment in the film,
It could be moment. It could be anything. Whether it be someone said a line you like, or a scene, or just how a character was used, or if anything really stuck out to you. What do you think that would be?
I mean, if you don't mind, I'm ready to because I'm talking about Thanos here because I mean, I'm finally happy with the fact that we're using villains. Or at least we got a villain where it's not, oh, he's a bad guy, we got to stop him, because that just seems to be like the norm with not just the MCU, but a lot of superhero franchises, is that they throw a villain into one movie, and then they use him for the one movie, and they don't develop him. Where with Thanos, they built up to him, and I think they built up to him okay. They didn't use him a ton, but they made him look like he was kind of this strong being that's going to be coming at some point, so we knew that there was going to be a threat there. But then we obviously get shown that he definitely is a threat in the first scene. I'm just going right into it. I mean, when you kill off, well, first of all, when you fight the Hulk and he just basically hands his butt to him.
When what's his name goes, let him have his fun.
Yep.
Thanos just, the Hulk is in trouble.
Yeah. And so, Thanos owns him. And then, of course, he kills Loki. Well, he kills Heimdall first. Right. And I could have seen that. Okay, he's not a throwaway character, but in the grand scheme of everybody that's in this movie, I could see him being one of the first ones to go. But then Loki. Actually, that is one minor thing I do have to say, is I feel like Loki kind of got a pretty quick death for being such a big player throughout this whole franchise, that it was kind of like there wasn't really enough time to process it. It was just kind of like, wow, Loki's dead.
Well, I think there'll be more time to process it, because this is going to come up in the next movie. I honestly, as much as I hate seeing Loki go, and Thor even said, he's died before, but I think it's for real this time. I think it was a smart move to take out Loki, because it really showed what kind of a threat Thanos really is.
Absolutely.
You kill Heimdall, it's like, okay, yeah, everyone likes Idris Elba. In the theater I was in, at the critic screening, was a lot of gas because, oh my God, they just killed Idris Elba. It wasn't because it was Heimdall.
Right.
I remember hearing one lady say something along like, no, not Idris, so, you kill off a side character, that's one, but then if you kill off someone as vital to this franchise as Loki is, and he did get to go out good. I do like how he got to go out first. He got to introduce the Hulk, and then he got to try to pull a knife, and then
right.
And then Thanos just says, you're done.
I've had enough of you.
Yeah, and it just shows just how vicious Thanos can be. You can't see what I wanted from Thanos. I got everything I wanted more, and he was my number one thing too. So great minds or insane minds, however you want to think about it, right, or say it, think alike. For me, Thanos, I love the fact that he was a complicated character. He was an interesting character. You almost buy into his logic, even though not his method, because he is insane. They don't call him the Mad Titan for nothing. But he's a real threat. And the fact that he easily beats the Hulk, as you said, and then he snaps Loki's neck, he kills Heimdall, he makes Thor just look like a wuss, you're in for something special. And then the fact that not only was the effects, everyone was making fun of the Thanos look, right?
I think it was fine.
And after seeing how they handled the character, where he wasn't so generic, his movements, the things he did, and we'll talk about more about him and his daughter later, but just the way, he just moved, and the way he took off his armor and took off the helmet, the way he talked, just everything they did about him, the fact that Josh Brolin could do a lot of that with just his voice was fantastic. And I mean, I would say, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think he is the best villain they've produced. It's hard to say.
Absolutely.
It's hard to say he was better than Loki because Loki was the only other one that really got to flesh out. But what they did with Thanos in this movie, the fact that he just wasn't "I'm taking over the universe." It was, I have this mission, and I believe in this mission so much, and he's almost a fanatic about it, and he'll stop at nothing. And like I said, you kind of believe in it a little bit because he in his mind he's saving the universe.
Right.
He's not destroying.
Not just I'm trying to take over. I'm trying to actually bring balance, sort of like. And you're right. Like the method's completely messed up. A good question is, where was Valkyrie on that ship? I have no idea. They didn't even touch her.
Well, here's one little thing that I thought about after seeing it a second time. Thor said something along the lines of, "They slaughtered half my crew," which it looked like everyone was dead to me. So I don't know if some got away.
Oh, they might have escaped or something.
Right, so maybe we just don't know. Maybe they'll show up in the next movie. Because I didn't see, what's his name, Korg on the ground anywhere. I didn't see all those guys on the ground. They could have escaped. They could have been another part of the ship. I don't know. Maybe we'll find that out later. Because they really didn't address it here. So, what else do you think? We've covered Thanos, and we'll talk a little bit about him a little bit later, because I want to talk about him with Gamora. But okay, we talked about everyone having their moments. Was there any hero moment that stood out to you? I know a lot of them were pretty cool. The way they kind of came in. But was there one that really stood out for you?
Well, being the fan that I am and the fanboy that I am, it was obviously Cap for me.
Yeah.
I literally cheered, and I was probably the only one who did in the theater, but I didn't care because I was just like, I geeked out. And let me tell you something. I like the Nomad in quotes version of Steve Rogers that's kind of being used in this one. Yeah. I think he looks cooler without the helmet and with the beard, honestly. So.
Oh yeah, and I love the fact that Thor's like, "You copied my beard."
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. When you saw the silhouette, you knew it was gonna be him, and then of course he catches the spear, and it's like, yeah, that's Cap. And granted, he got his moments. I would have liked them to use him a little bit more, but then again, I would have said that about everybody.
Right.
Whenever it came to moments, though, other than to say something different, the fight with Iron Man and Thanos near the end of the movie.
Just the two of them, like after they tried to get the gauntlet off him, is that what you're talking about more?
Yeah, well, the gauntlet part was really cool, and that would be another cool moment too, because it showed Thanos was really in pain about all the stuff he did, even though he knew he in his mind he had to do it, he had to have the will to do it. But yeah, the fight with Tony and Thanos after that, because this movie had a lot of false finishes, we'll say, right? Because you thought Iron Man was dead meat there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And before that, you thought the movie was over. You thought they were going to stop him. It looked like they were going to win in Wakanda, and it looked like they were going to win against Thanos on Titan. And sure enough, then the tables got turned. Did you happen to notice? See, I didn't watch the trailers and stuff. I watched one trailer before I went and seen this.
Sure.
Okay, and I went back and watched them all after I watched the movie. They changed stuff in those trailers. There was scenes, and a lot of it had to do with the gauntlet. A lot of the scenes they showed where he had all the stones in the trailers, he didn't. He was in Wakanda fighting Captain America with 2 stones in the trailers.
Okay.
And the fact, normally I would hate it when a company would do that in a trailer, but the fact that Marvel covered up so many secrets by messing with the trailers. This isn't adding a TIE fighter in a Rogue One trailer that you don't intend to have in the movie. This is hiding plot points in a movie, and I like that they did that because nobody thought that Thanos was going to get every single one of those stones.
I didn't think he was either, to be honest. And to be honest, what I also liked was the fact that not only did he get all the stones, but he was like really strategic about which ones he was going to get and when.
Yeah.
Because, he got the Power Stone first, which makes the most sense because he wanted to be able to overpower anybody that he needed to start off.
Yeah.
Then he went for the space stone so he could travel, back and forth without any effort. And from there on, I mean, it went easy as it could be. I mean, I'm glad that he didn't get the time stone right away, because that would have pretty much like made him too easy to be, too easy to win.
Well, when he got it, and near the end where Scarlet Witch destroys Vision's stone, it's like, yeah, he's gonna back up time here.
I didn't until he said the word time. I was like, oh goodness, didn't even think about it. And I say, okay, also a theory. Okay, so obviously Hulk refused to come out, throughout this whole film. Do you think it has to do with the fact that he's humiliated over the fact that he lost to Thanos at the beginning of the film?
Oh, by far. I think that he's never really been bested other than by the Hulkbuster, which he knew that was a machine. So, of course, that's not going to bother him. But the fact that another being... I mean, think about it. He's been on quote-unquote Planet Hulk fighting everything and winning. And even before then, everything he fought, he won. He beat up puny gods and Ultrons and everything else. And this being, Thanos, didn't just beat him. He just made him look like nothing.
Yeah, we're talking like Nappa levels of beating the Z fighters.
Yes,
first season of Dragon Ball Z.
Right, and so... yeah, I think that's what it is. Now, I don't know how that's going to play into the next movie. I have a feeling he's going to get another crack at Thanos. Of course he is. Right. And I think they're really going to test the theory of, if the Hulk gets stronger as he gets beat. Because I think he's going to have a scene with Thanos where he keeps getting up. He may not win, but I think there's going to be a scene in the next movie where Thanos thinks he has him beat. And he just keeps coming. And eventually Thanos will overtake him, but it's not going to be as, he's going to be able to fight the Power Stone, I think, whenever he fights Thanos next. Because we're finally going to get to see the Hulk really become the strong Hulk. Because honestly, and I think he'll make it out of the next movie. I think he's only going to be one or two of them that do. I have theories on pretty much everybody, but he's not going to be the one that beats Thanos in the end. No. I think that's going to be Cap and Iron Man. Because, and maybe we should talk about this now. Did you notice that, okay, when the end happened and the people started disappearing, all the originals are still there?
Yep.
Okay, so with all the originals still there, they are going to give them... the next movie is going to be their movie. It's going to be kind of the big last hurrah for those characters. Some will survive, some won't. Cap's probably going to die. Hulk will survive.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him and Tony dying, to be honest.
Well, my theory about Tony is that he will become AI. I think he's going to have his... kind of what he's done in the comics, where he's still Iron Man, but he's basically... just AI and can control the suits, and he's still Tony, but he's not a figure anymore. And it'll be easy work for Robert Downey Jr. just to do some mocap face stuff, and it'll be his face in the Iron Man armor.
I think it would be even cooler. Not even just that. Maybe he's an AI like Jarvis is or whatever, and he works with Peter.
And that very well could be. And see, and I just think. And it may start off like that, but I think eventually they're going to want to bring Iron Man back. Because as much as Robert Downey Jr. is saying he's done, he ain't done. He's going to make those movies, and they'll just make it easier on him. So, he may just start off as AI and help Peter, but then, because, I mean, they make a great team, especially kind of a father-son thing that they kind of had going in this. Man, that broke my heart.
Oh, man.
When Peter turned to dust... because...
But we obviously know, that a lot of these characters that turn to dust are like, okay, no, they have movies slated already, so I'm not as heartbroken over it, because I know, well, of course, there's already another Spider-Man movie in the works.
Well,
I know that
we can talk about that, though. I mean, think about this, okay? This movie was 2 years after Civil War. Okay, there's 2 years between Infinity War and Civil War. Ant-Man and Wasp is going to take place before Infinity War. We kind of know that already.
Captain Marvel takes place in the 90s.
That takes place in the 90s, and it sets up Captain Marvel to help out in the next Avengers movie. I'm sure that's what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to do, because that was kind of the after-credit scene with Nick Fury. I know you were saying you were hoping it was going to be an X.
Dude, if it would have been an X or the 4, I would have been out of my seat.
I would have bought the 4. I wouldn't have bought the X. The X, they're not ready for X-Men yet.
Well, and it would have made
Fantastic
sense.
Four, you could fit in.
You could kind of see like where like, okay, who's gonna know how to fix this situation would be Reed Richards, you know?
Yeah. See, I don't see them doing any of that stuff until after they finish up this big Infinity War, because there's already too many characters.
I bet it would even be like Phase 5 material. I bet.
Well, it's going to be whenever they decide to do Galactus, because I mean, you're going to need Fantastic Four, you're going to need X-Men, you're going to need everybody. I mean, that's how you could bring back Chris Evans somehow. I mean, there's many things that can be done, however they're going to do it. Right. So yeah, this next Spider-Man movie though, it is slated after the next Avengers movie. So, I mean, but it could take place before. I mean, the timelines of these movies are all screwed up anyway.
I suppose that's true. But also the idea, and I don't know what your theory on this is, are they dead? Maybe there's an alternate existence now of some sort that could be put into play too?
No, they are dead. But somehow, I have this theory that Thanos is going to get bored, or Thanos is going to think, well, maybe I didn't do a good enough job. Maybe I need to do it again. Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, look at the way the Gauntlet looked when he did the big kill, right? I mean, that thing looked like it was about ready to fall apart.
Yeah.
I mean, he was still able to use it because he teleported out of there, but I don't know how they're gonna do it. I mean, the fact that Doctor Strange disappeared, that's what I'm wondering. Okay, where are you gonna go with this? Because he'd be the one that knows how to use one of the stones,
right?
I'm not sure where they're gonna go. They could go so many different ways with this, but I have this feeling that the Gauntlet's gonna be used to fix a lot of what happened. But I think it's going to come at the sacrifice of some of the heroes, the original heroes. Because like I said, as far as we know, Hawkeye is still out there because he wasn't in the movie. A lot of people are like, where's Hawkeye and all the marketing? Well, he's on house arrest.
Yeah. So Scott.
But I have this feeling though that, they're going to give Hawkeye a movie. Or at least make him part of something, because
even if he did a team up, if they do Black Widow and Hawkeye as a team up kind of film, that would work. It could be a pre-Avengers film too, take place doing their missions beforehand.
I wouldn't mind seeing what he's up to during this, other than just sitting at home, because I mean, I don't know if he wouldn't have, Hawkeye just seems like the kind of character that he would still get involved somehow. Right. I mean, maybe he'll do something for Nick Fury or something. Maybe, I don't know what they're planning. I don't even know if he may even be in the Captain Marvel movie. Who knows? I mean, he'll look about the same. Apparently, they're going to do some fancy de-aging stuff for that whole movie, because it's got Coulson in it. It's got Maria Hill. It's got Nick Fury. It's got a lot of the favorites.
Ronin's in it too, isn't he?
Yeah, Ronin, and there's another one that was an older, like someone else that was in Guardians too. The one that Star-Lord says, "My name's Star-Lord," and he's like, "Who?" The guy that was hunting him.
Oh yeah.
I can't.
Korath?
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember his name, and I'll butcher the actor's name, so I don't want to try it. He's in that movie too, because of course they're still alive. I'm kind of glad they get another shot. At least we get to see them more, because they're going to be doing the Skrulls and Kree War.
Yeah.
Which means we could be getting some Skrull stories coming up, which is scary. Because who knows who's a Skrull kind of thing. Okay, so we're kind of all over the place here.
No, we are really.
Okay.
But speaking of Guardians, I would say that Drax, in my opinion, had some of the best lines in this film.
Oh yeah, because he just got that literal humor.
I loved the no, you're a dude.
He's a man.
This is a man. I love the when they first met with Iron Man and them, and they were fighting, and Quill asked, "Where is Gamora?" and Tony's like, "Well, what? I got one better for you. Who is Gamora?" And then Drax is like, "Yeah, I got one better. How is Gamora?" So many ridiculous lines that he just throws out.
Okay, here was one that I kind of knew it was going to happen, or at least I had an idea it might happen, and it should have happened, and it did. The return of the Red Skull.
Oh yeah,
how awesome was that?
I thought it was cool, but I also feel like, man, this is kind of a stretch. Are we kind of just throwing him in there so we can kind of say, oh, finally we know what happened to this character?
Well, it kind of explains the power of the stone, because the one that he had his hands on was the teleporter. So, I mean, he just didn't get, destroyed by it. It just teleported him, to this thing. And plus, him being there gives kind of a mystical side to the stones, because
I suppose that's true.
It's not just they're powerful stones. It's like there's a spiritual thing going on here, because it punished him. The fact that he was after the stones, granted he never would have succeeded, because there wasn't that many on Earth, and some were many, many places far away.
Right.
But the fact that he's like, I held one in my hand once. And of course, I looked in the credits. That wasn't Hugo Weaving.
I didn't think so.
It sounded like him, I'll tell you that. Whoever they got, it sounded a heck of a lot like him. But yeah, as whiny as he was after, doing the first one, not wanting to do franchise, that even though he's played Elrond 6 times,
right,
and played Smith 3 times, I liked having that character there. If it would have been, it gave more weight to that scene, because it was something that fans have kind of wanted to see that character return. Granted, they probably would have rather seen him return to fight Captain America.
Right.
But having him on that planet be someone funny, he just looked, to me with that hood on, he looked like a red-faced Skeletor.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get that image out of my head.
First I was like, is that Death? Because I was like, it could have been, because I know that Death plays a big part in Thanos' storyline in the comic books. So.
Well, I thought that for a second, but then whenever a man's voice came out, it's like, well, it's not, because Death is a woman, because Thanos is in love with her.
Right.
I was kind of glad they changed that, though, because the whole court death thing, that made Thanos feel a little generic in the comics.
Right.
The story they gave him, as we talked about with the, wanting to save the universe by eliminating half the universe, it was a little less than, well, I love death and I'm going to kill everyone for her.
Right. I think it would have been a little bit of a stretch.
Well, and it just would have felt a little generic to me.
True.
Okay, I want to talk about that planet. The whole thing, there's a story with Gamora where she says to Peter, if Thanos gets a hold of me, you have to kill me, because I know something he doesn't. And that was intriguing. I love the fact that Gamora got a bit of a character bump.
For a perfect reason, though. Of course,
yeah, I mean, it wasn't just to give her a character bump. Yeah, she's the daughter, well, at least quote unquote daughter of Thanos, and that's where on this planet, to get the Soul Stone, he has to sacrifice something. And even Gamora says it. She's like, "You don't love anything," and all this. And it turns out that he had real love for her. He starts crying, and she even mocks him, saying, "Really, tears?" Because she thinks he's crying because he failed. Like, he can't get the stone, and he's crying because he knows that he's going to have to kill the one person he loves to get that stone. And the fact that they let a villain do this is, again, it makes Thanos a great villain. The fact that, he's like, I know what I have to do, and he's bawling his eyes out, and he chucks her off the side.
It's almost along the same lines of like Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens when he kills his dad.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, if I need to achieve what I'm trying to achieve, you have to be out of my way, because, you know, I do care for you, but if you're in my way, I may fail. And that's kind of what it was. To get his hands on the Soul Stone, he had to kill Gamora. And they even do a little flashback where you see her, where he takes her from her planet for the first time. I was kind of glad they put that in there. It kind of set up the thing with that dagger, which was kind of weird, but it's like, well, they're giving us an excuse for her to stab him with this particular weapon. But I was fine with that, especially with where it went.
Do you think, as far as any of the ones that died physically outside of when he snapped the gauntlet, I'm under the impression that those people, they're good and dead.
Okay, I have the whole death list here. Okay, the official deaths are Loki, Heimdall, Gamora, Vision, because he died before the gauntlet, before the snapping of the fingers. The entire Black Order, which it actually turns out Thanos actually cares for them too, you know, because he's like, where are my people? And they're like, you know, basically they're gone. He's like, well, they sacrificed themselves, you know, for my cause, and he appreciated them. And then you could throw the Collector in there too, even though we didn't officially see him die. You know, we saw that alter reality, because whenever the alter reality went away, that whole place was in flames. Nowhere was in flames, so you assume he's dead. Who knows if Cosmo and Howard the Duck made it out? Oh wait, I think they escaped before that.
No, Howard the Duck was in like where the Ravagers were hanging out.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I don't remember if Cosmo was there though too. Hopefully Cosmo got out. I've always wanted to see, you know how Mark Hamill wanted to be in Guardians? I want him to do Cosmo. Do the voice of a talking dog, a Russian talking dog. Why not? So yeah, those are the only real official deaths that we saw. Everyone else was the end death, and here's all of them. The Winter Soldier, Falcon, Black Panther, Groot, Scarlet Witch, Star-Lord, Mantis, Drax, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and after the credits, Maria Hill and Nick Fury, which of course we said triggers Captain Marvel. Hopefully she survived. I'm willing to bet she did. So, and granted, I guess it don't matter. He did the whole thing to the universe, so it could have been anywhere. But yes, I'm sure she's fine. So yeah, those, I think all of them are going to come back. I don't see any of them not coming back. The only characters that are going to end up dead in the next movie, I think, are going to be Cap, Iron Man, maybe. I think Thor is going to end up in whatever that what's the heaven for
Valhalla.
Valhalla, thank you. He's the last thing we're going to see of Thor at the end of the next movie is walking into Valhalla, and there's going to be his dad, and there's going to be his mom, and Loki, and maybe Valkyrie. I don't know. I mean, it depends.
Didn't Sif die too?
No,
I know all the other Warriors 3 did.
All the other Warriors 3 did, because Hela wasted them. They barely got to put up a fight. Lady Sif, what's her name that played her? Something Alexander. Jamie Alexander. They could not get her for Ragnarok, so we don't know where Sif is.
Maybe her and Valkyrie are off somewhere.
Maybe.
Awesome.
Maybe. Hopefully. I have a feeling though that she'll probably show up in Valhalla. Hawkeye's probably going to survive. I think Black Widow will survive, because they are talking Black Widow movie, but we don't know if it's going to be in the past or in the future. As much as a fan of Scarlett Johansson that I am not, one thing I will admit is that she could pull off a younger character if she really wanted to.
Right.
Let's see. Hulk will probably survive because they can team him up with anybody. But I'm sure Cap's probably going to go. And I think that Thor is definitely going to go. Iron Man. Yeah. Iron Man's a 50-50 because, like I said, he will die, but will he come back as AI? That's kind of the big question.
My thing is that I think that those three, Thor, Iron Man, Cap, I almost feel like as far as like the solo series of those characters has kind of run its course. Is there really any great stories that we can kind of tell from their individual comics anymore?
Well, with Iron Man, you can continue on with Rhodey being an Avenger.
Sure.
With Cap, Bucky is going to become
Yep.
Cap, and then you can still have Falcon with him.
We could have Jane Foster come back and be Thor.
Shut up. No, I think with the destruction of their homeworld, I think that's kind of the end for them. Thor is going to fight in this battle, and he is going to be key to beating Thanos, but he is going to die. And like I said, I just envision him. I remember playing, I believe it was the first Ultimate Alliance, where you went to Valhalla. I think your characters kind of die, and somehow they end up in Valhalla. And I just always imagined him going home, so to speak, when he dies. And I think I don't see another Thor movie happening. There's really not much more they could do with it. I mean, Loki's gone. Hela's gone. Ragnarok's happened.
Right. They had to make the last Thor movie half a Hulk movie too. So I mean, to be fair,
well, and
there's not much more you can do.
Here's the thing about Hulk though. You're gonna get lots of cool team up movies with that character. Because if they make a solo movie, they have to give money to, who is it, Paramount?
Universal,
which nobody wants to support them and them trying to do their shared universe. Which again, I didn't hate the Mummy that much, but I was curious where it was going. But yeah, we don't want to give them any more money for the Hulk. So yeah, those are the characters I think that are going to go, and somehow they're going to use the other characters. I can see kind of where it's going. I think Thor Ragnarok was kind of a test run for what happens after Avengers, because I think we're going to get team up movies, like maybe Hulk and Spidey, or who knows who all is going to come in. It'd be fun just to see some of these characters interact with each other. I'd love to see, who knows, I imagine we'll see a Captain America and I'm talking a Bucky Captain America with Black Panther, just things like that. Eventually they're going to introduce Doctor Doom, so that's going to be the next big bad.
You want to talk about a villain that they'd better not screw up and better give a decent story to, is Doctor Doom.
Well, they haven't gotten it right once, so let's hope Marvel can do what they're supposed to do with it instead of.
They did Thanos justice.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Did Loki justice. Well, let's do Doctor Doom some justice.
They made Thanos better. I could see them making Doctor Doom better, because Doctor Doom is kind of like Thanos, where he may come off as evil and he does some evil stuff, but a lot of it's for the the betterment of his country. So he sees himself as the good guy, kind of like like a dictator in now's world, thinking they're doing the best for their country, even though it's probably not the best things they should be doing.
Do you think it would be kind of cool, because his country's kind of a fictional country too, so what if it's sort of the same sort of similar situation where there's kind of a hidden country like Wakanda is, and it's kind of got its own high technology and things like that? I don't know, just kind of like a dark side kind of same concept as Wakanda.
I'm totally down for that. That's how I know it's more out in the open in the comics and everything, but I've always imagined it as kind of like a Wakanda, kind of the yin to the yang when it comes to Wakanda, because I always get excited whenever the idea of Black Panther versus Doctor Doom happens, because they're the leaders of their nation kind of thing, and it's more than just two a hero and a villain going to war. It's countries going to war. So yeah, I would be okay with that, and then that would explain, where was Doctor Doom in his country the entire time? Well, he was hidden away because he wasn't going to get involved in that. He wasn't going to try anything because, well, he may be risking too much, or he's just biding his time, or he's got a plan. You could really keep the Infinity Gauntlet going, because Doctor Doom has wanted that too. So, granted, I know they kind of already technically used the Cosmic Cube, so you could substitute in the Infinity Gauntlet for him wanting to seize power. I don't think we've seen the last of Red Skull I think him coming back was a very big positive, and people were excited about it. You never know. Somehow he may get involved in. I could see him getting involved in future Cap movies that involve Bucky, which would be kind of cool, because there's a lot of characters there I would like to see come back villain-wise and everything. So, they just didn't get to use them very much. So there is a lot of cool possibilities in the future. Oh, yeah. But here's something that excited me. Is, okay, both of us, I'm sure, went into this movie wondering, is it going to live up to the hype? Is it, are we going to be fatigued after we've seen it? Are we going to feel like, now we've got more? I'm sure you wondered that, just at least part of you. But coming out of this movie, I never thought I would say I'm more excited than I ever was for these movies.
I'm ready to see more now.
It's like, wow, this is where they can go, and we've still got another half a movie technically.
I'm just waiting for the next movie is where we need to have after they do their deed and they bring everybody back and they have to fight Thanos at the very end. They need that nice huge wide shot of all the heroes in one big wide shot waiting going after him or something like that, just to make it just like they did the circle shot in the first original Avengers. I was waiting for something big like that in this one. Didn't really get that exactly in this one, but I'm waiting to see that in the next one.
Well, see, I thought about that. I wondered, were they gonna try to have everybody together? And I was like, no, not in this movie, because they're saving it. I knew the second they started splitting everybody up. First of all, I loved all the mixtures of teams and how, and it's like, I was glad they didn't get every snarky character together, because I don't want to see a massive snark fest.
Right. I thought that Strange and Stark played really, really well off of each other. I was hoping for them to be together a lot, just based on how snarky both of those characters are in their individual movies. I was like, this has to happen, and it did.
So yeah, you were wondering about that shot. I thought, it's like, are they going to do it? It's like, I kind of didn't want them to. I didn't want them to do that big shot yet, because, what it is, it's going to be in the next movie. It's going to be near the end when they're making their final push against Thanos. I mean, you're going to see Thanos by himself doing whatever he can do with that gauntlet, have to take on every hero that we've introduced so far that has survived, right? And you could even, I could even see a Vision maybe coming back. Maybe they can rebuild him without the stone. Because they did say a lot of him was still there without the stone. Right. So I could see that character coming back. But yeah, I just see, all these characters charging, probably not the minor characters such as, Black Panther's side characters, or, those characters will probably be out of the fight. Maybe they're popular. Maybe they will be there. I see the heroes making that final charge. Yeah, you're going to see them all standing together, doing their pose. They may do a pan of them all, getting ready for the fight. And then, you just see them all charging Thanos, and Thanos is just like, come on, and we're just going to get this huge, it'll never get bigger, unless they do Galactus.
Right.
And that's what I see in the second movie. That's why I'm glad they didn't do it in this movie, because I think it would have spoiled the moment, the end game moment. And by the way, I think that
that could be a name for the
I think
movie.
It's going to be Avengers Endgame, because of what Doctor Strange said. We're in the Endgame now.
Well, and I totally like the idea that, see, that's another thing, I'm kind of glad that there was a little bit more potential purpose to Tony being spared when he didn't die there. I was like, okay, just because Strange has looked at all the different possibilities, and there was the one possibility where they'd win, obviously that he must have known that Stark was alive in that possibility, and that's why he wanted him to live.
Speaking of those scenes, I brought up the fight with him and Thanos, Tony and Thanos near the end. I love the fact that Thanos was basically like, I admire you. You're cursed with knowledge like me. It almost put Tony almost on an equal footing with Thanos, which was kind of scary because, he's saying, you've put up a great fight. You know things like I do. I appreciate you for that. I still have to destroy you. I love the line, I hope they remember you when all this is over,
Right.
I love that. And it makes me wonder, and granted, I know that Thanos' killing of half the universe was random. It was supposed to be random. But it makes you wonder, did he spare Tony? Because he admired Tony. But then again, the way he said, I hope they remember you, that it was completely random. I just had this little nugget in my head thinking maybe part of him spared Tony, but I'm willing to bet that that's not true. So,
and I also have to say that, like, Doctor Strange, man, that guy can fight. I loved his stuff in this movie. It was just like the moment when, like, he split himself into, like, so many different ones of himself and stuff like that. I was like, he's the coolest one, I think, almost.
Yeah, I really liked whenever he got to go full blast, because, I mean, he didn't get to do a whole lot at the first. He did a few cool little tricks here and there. But when he, the multiple arms came out and he split, and then he tried to whip Thanos, like, in to capture him with all those whips, and then Thanos just turns his wrist and all of them get blown away. That was some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, that's another thing about this movie, the effects of this movie. Yeah. I gave Black Panther a lot of crap for its effects. The movie's great, don't get me wrong, but the effects of Black Panther, they did too many things where you could tell the characters were fake. Like especially that last battle between Killmonger and the Black Panther. The way they were moving and everything didn't look right. This movie, there was maybe a couple times I go, okay, the effect's okay, but most of the time, everything looked really good, and I was glad that Disney and Marvel spared no expense on this.
Oh yeah,
making it worth what they paid for. Making it worth what we paid for to go see it, because we expected something epic. We expected something that looked better than Steppenwolf, like we got with DC. Okay, we get Thanos. We expect effects better than trying to take a mustache off of Superman. Right. I'm not saying that movie had all the worst effects, because I like what they do with Flash and everything, but compare these two movies. The fact that this movie exists and works makes Justice League look even worse.
Oh, yeah.
If you really think about it. I love that they spared no expense.
Right. Well, like Thanos, there's so many times where the mocap was done so well with that. I was like, it's like almost you felt like it was Josh Brolin, like they did makeup. Like I was that convinced by how well they did that CG in that film.
Well, I know a lot of the mocap. I know he was filming other movies at the same time. He didn't do all the mocap. I know he did some of it, because I know the actor said they didn't get to work on set with him a lot. But he did the facial recognition stuff. I know that. I think about this. If Thanos didn't have to be that big, that you could have put him in a costume and he would have worked. But of course Thanos is a massive character, and you couldn't.
He's almost as big as the Hulk.
You couldn't pull it off. They were able to pull it off for the small scene with Peter Dinklage, being the quote unquote dwarf.
He was awesome.
That was great.
I just love anytime Peter Dinklage comes around.
I knew he was in that movie, but I didn't study up anything. And when he showed up, I was pretty excited. And the fact that he was bigger than pretty much everyone in the movie was great. It's like, hey, sweet, it's Tyrion. I liked all the stuff with him. And he got to shine as a character, which was great. That's just, plays to the brilliance of him as an actor. He was able to take what little bit they gave him and made it really emotional. But just even him as a minor character got to shine. That's what's great about this movie, is everyone got to shine in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, yeah.
I love that minor characters, a lot of the Black Panther minor characters got to shine. Wong got to shine with Doctor Strange. There was little bits and pieces of everybody. Peter's friend for that one scene he's in on the bus.
Yep.
He got to have a great scene. And that's what I love about this movie is they utilized everything they had and made it work, and then some. You know, you add in the stuff with Gamora and Thanos, and the emotion of Peter after he finds out Gamora's dead, and he ruins everything because of it.
Do you blame him though? I mean,
no, and
you can't, man.
It was great character motivation, and it was great character development because she's gone now. We didn't expect to not see her in the next Guardians movie. You know, you expected, her and Peter's relationship, their little playtime relationship to go on. But no, she's gone, and she ain't coming back unless something happens with Thanos where, he brings her back, and who knows? I mean, maybe he'll bring her back. I don't know. I doubt it, because I think that would ruin the emotion of that scene from this movie, but...
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the thing with, like I said, when I know that Peter was coming back, but one of the best parts of Spider-Man Homecoming was Tony was kind of a father figure to Peter, and they kind of touched on that at the first of this movie where Tony was like, I want kids. And then, of course, Peter's kind of his son, so, and then he watches his quote-unquote son crumble in his arms, and it breaks him. I mean, it's, he watched pretty much everyone he cared for and new friends. He knows they're gone. And then, like I said, Peter was kind of like his son. There's all those different scenes. And like I said, they took everything and they made what the impossible possible. And, if nobody that's listening to this can tell, go see this movie and go see it a lot.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If they're listening to this, I hope they've seen the movie,
Well, I mean, some people are just curious. I know some people that would listen to this because they just haven't watched the other movies and they're just curious what's going on. But this is, if I would encourage people to definitely see the other movies first, because if you watch this movie, I know some people that didn't see all the other movies that watched this and they kind of liked it, but it's like, to really get it, you got to be invested in this universe.
Right. And I mean, there's some movies, like a handful, that you probably can get away with not seeing. I mean, you don't need to see Ant-Man, obviously. You don't need to probably even see the second Guardians film. But, some of the other ones, there's definitely a lot of them that you got to see. You got to see Civil War. You're not going to get the weight of the situation between Cap and Tony. And I really hope that they play on that because, I mean, obviously they hadn't met up yet since in this movie. They're going to meet up again in the next movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I almost feel like, and I was kind of calling this for this one too, but it didn't happen because they didn't meet up. But I would almost see somehow along the lines when Cap dies, I'm going to guess trying to protect Tony. And then that's where
I could see that.
The reconciliation happens and Tony, feels like, he blew it.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing them two and maybe Thor having a 3-on-1 with Thanos, because that's going to mean a lot. The big six are definitely going to get to take on Thanos.
Well, see, I feel like Hulk needs to be in there with those three too, because I mean he's kind of like the out of the four like supers that were in the original Avengers. That's
See, he may be in there for a little bit. He's definitely going to get a 1-on-1 with Thanos. But yeah, I mean, I can at least definitely see Tony and Captain America fighting Thanos, just them two. I think they're going to be in the last fight, so to speak, or the last blow, or whatever you want to call it. Somehow they'll be involved in that because, I mean, they are kind of the guys. But yeah, I mean, all six of them will probably be involved. I don't know how they're not going to make it back. Maybe, like I said, there's something with a sacrifice or something. I don't know. They're going to have to sacrifice themselves, keeping Thanos at a certain place or something. I don't know. Yeah. And that way they could save everybody else. But who knows where they're going. That's, again, and this will probably be my final note. That's why I am so excited. I can't believe I'm more excited now than when Iron Man came out and when Hulk came out. I was excited just to see those movies, and then when they showed Nick Fury at the end of Iron Man, it's like, wow, are they really going to do this? And then 10 years later, they did it, and we still got half a story to go.
Right.
And I'm so excited.
See, to me, it's almost like, I mean, we got excited about the idea they were going to create the Avengers film. And then they created the Avengers film, and we were like, oh, man, it can't get any better than this. And then at the last minute on that, they show the post-credit scene with Thanos. And we're like, oh, my goodness, we're going to do this, too. And then we build up 6 years later, and here we are with that. And now, I'm just curious to see. There's got to be something big that comes out of a post-credit scene in the next one to be like, okay, well, what's the big thing next? That's when I feel like, okay, let's tease X-Men, let's tease Fantastic Four, because now they own these properties and they can use them. And I think that's just the next logical step after they get past, after they finish up Phase 3 here, and we go from there.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be Fantastic Four, because start small. They don't want to start with the X-Men. I think that's a little too big. They're going to need to build that up a little bit. And I made a prediction on Get on the Mic. It's going to be John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
Oh, dude.
Yes. Because the fans want that so bad, and Krasinski said he'd be down for it, and he loves working with his wife. So, yeah, I have a feeling. I don't know who's going to be Johnny Storm, and I don't know. It ain't going to be Chris Evans. And I don't
there
know.
Needs to be a joke. There has to be a joke.
And I don't know who's going to be the Thing. I'm not worried about that, but I have a feeling that after this happens, after they finally defeat Thanos, because I think once Thanos is done, he's done, because I don't think they'd want to bring him back. No. I think we're going to get a tease to either Doctor Doom, or we're going to get a tease to the Skrulls. Is going to be the next thing.
The Skrulls are already going to be in Captain Marvel, so
right, and that's why I think that's where they're going to go next. Because I have a feeling after whatever the next Infinity War or Infinity movie or Avengers movie is called, they're going to tease that somebody's a Skrull, or someone's going to survive, and you think they've survived, and they're going to be a Skrull, and they're going to infiltrate something. I don't know. I don't really know where they're going, but man, again, I'm 1,000,000% excited as a comic book fan, as a movie fan, to see them pull this off, and still keep the fan base and still keep new people that become new fans excited. I just can't wait.
See, I think, too, just another side note, when we're talking about Fantastic Four, a good way to introduce them without having to even throw together an origin story is to use the idea that that Doctor Doom's country is it's a hidden country, but perhaps somehow they're already like in captivity, and they've been in captivity with Doctor Doom for like several years or something like that. I don't know. I just think it'd be a cool way to kind of introduce them, and then maybe they could do the origin story after they've introduced them, even like they did with Spider-Man, kind of. Well, they didn't really do an origin story, I suppose, but they kind of talked about it.
With the Fantastic Four, I mean, they're the type of characters that could have been off-world, or they're the type of characters that could have been in another dimension. I mean, when all this stuff's going on. So I mean,
like Captain Marvel,
right? So I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Those characters could have been anywhere. It's a big universe, and plus there's multi-universes. So I mean, it's easy to explain away. I mean, Peter Parker was easy to explain away because he was in high school. That was all you had to do for him. But he just found out, he was doing little things here and there while this big stuff was going on. Fantastic Four, they'll just be off world somewhere. They'll be in another dimension somewhere, because this is Reed Richards we're talking about. He'll come back and be like, what the hell happened to this world? While I was gone. So that, and you really wouldn't have to have an origin story. Nobody's going to want a Fantastic Four origin story. We've had 3 technically. You've had the one that's on YouTube that never got released. You have the Fox one, and then you have the really bad Fox one that just came out not too long ago. So no one's going to want that origin story. So they'll just introduce them as characters. We'll get the gist of them and go from there. X-Men are a little different. I'm not sure what they're going to do with them. I think they're going to wait on them a little while, maybe introduce a few characters. But Fantastic Four got to be next.
Yeah, I just cannot say that I am just I just can't believe how excited I am over the fact that it's like we've come this far, and I feel like now we're just beginning.
Yeah, that's just it. They've basically come out and said, I love the fact that they put that 10 in the Marvel Studios logo. And then, they're just winking at you going, yeah, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
They had a few faults along the way. I mean, people kind of forget the Hulk movie because, with Ruffalo taking over and everything. That's fine. Iron Man 2, we kind of just forget. I would love to see Justin Hammer come back.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he will eventually.
And, the real Mandarin.
Yeah. Well, they had that little side story thing. Where they pull Ben Kingsley out of prison. I still want to think that they're gonna, he was just pretending to be an actor. That's what I'm kind of hoping they'll do with Ben Kingsley. But they keep saying there's a real Mandarin. I don't know if they'll ever really address that again, because if we don't have another Iron Man movie, I don't think they'll use that character.
Sure.
But if they don't, not really a big deal. I mean, Iron Man's story's been kind of told. You could do more Iron Man stories, but I think he's more fun in the Avengers movies, or like in Spider-Man, where he's kind of a supporting character now. I think we're getting the finale of the characters they've been setting up, or most of them. Then we're going to get the next chapter, so to speak, of some of the newer characters and some of the ones that didn't get really a time to shine. So yeah, there's a lot to happen, a lot to speculate about, but man, again, yeah, I can't wait. Just can't wait.
Yeah. We are ready, man.
Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for this GB3 spoiler review of Avengers Infinity War. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Make sure to check out each of our channels. I'm The Real Geno Reynolds. You can check out my channel at The Real Geno. And also you can check out HeiseNerd's channel. That's HEI, or help me spell it here. HEI.
SENERD.
There we go. I didn't want to mess that up. I'll let you attempt it. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed this channel. If you like what you have heard here, I encourage you to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We'd love to hear from you guys and what you guys thought of this movie. Until next time, I'm The Real Geno Reynolds, speaking for HeiseNerd. Talk to you later.
Later.